Gators Breakdown, the Gators fan podcast, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. I'm your host, David Waters, and you can find me on Twitter at GatorDave_SEC. And with just a few weeks left until the 2019 recruiting cycle, the Gators hosted some big-time targets this past weekend. And even though 2019 prospects were the focus this past weekend, Florida was able to snag a commit from four-star wide receiver Leonard Manuel on Monday. So some big news coming off of some weekend with some 2019 guys, but it was 2020 that makes an impact with the big-time wide receiver commit Leonard Manuel. I'll take a look back at the weekend that was, and look the potential impact of Manuel and recent grad transfer Jonathan Greenard. Granard. There we go. I think I got it right that time. And we'll also take a look at some key stats that show the improvement of the Gators from 2017 to 2018. But before we do, remember, you can find Gators Breakdown on newsforjacks.com/Gators Breakdown. There you'll find all the Gators Breakdown episodes as well as articles from the News 4 Jax sports team. Also catch us on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Spotify. And when using those services, please share, rate, and review the show. And on social media, follow Gators Breakdown on Twitter and Facebook at Gators Breakdown. So some breaking news, some big news here on this Monday. Let's get started with that. And four-star wide receiver Leonard Manuel commits to the Gators, currently the 36th ranked player in the nation for the 2020 class, 6th ranked wide receiver, and 4th ranked prospect in the state of Florida, 6'4", 200 pounds, and the 8th commit for the 2020 class for the Gators. Also, he's the 3rd commit from the recent wave of commits from Vanguard and Ocala. The other two being 2021 commits, 5-star defensive end Bryce Langston, and another 4-star wide receiver in Trevante Rucker. Looks like Georgia was going to be the biggest competition here after Manuel decommitted from Miami this past April. But you can see the interest in Florida as he's been on campus at least 7 times since the last one being back in November 17th. So way more than any school visited Florida, way more than all the other schools that were in it for him. And lo and behold, get his commitment. Some people saw this coming kind of soon. I don't know if they thought this soon, but Gators were able to get it. So Gators are getting a big-time playmaker here at wide receiver. Last season, Manuel brought in 40 catches for 678 yards and 9 touchdowns at Vanguard. And look, when you add Leonard Manuel to the 2020 class, you have a class that would move up to 3rd, ranked 3rd in the 2020 class so far on 24/7 Sports. So far with 8 commits, 6 4-stars, 2 3-stars, and that list would include Leonard Manuel now, who would be the highest ranked player there. Then you got Kayvon Lee, 4-star there. Gervin Dexter, another 4-star. Kedrick Bingley Jones, 4-star. Jaquavion Frazier's a 4-star. Rashad Torrance, a 4-star out of Georgia. Anthony Richardson and Josh Griffiths are 3-stars there, but you got to think Richardson, with the love he's been getting after these all-star combines and stuff, his stock will probably rise as well. So the 2020 class off to a great start. Blue chips left and right, and class is really ramping up to be the one, maybe the signature class you'll go back and look at for Mullen. Not to throw away this 2019 class. We'll see how it finishes first, but 2020 well on its way to being one of those classes here. So a little bit of breaking news there with Leonard Manuel getting it out there, and the Gators pick up big time wide receiver. Was a 5-star at one point. We'll kind of see where that goes. He's on the edge. So, and look, that's just splitting hairs right there. He's a talent for sure, big-time talent, and one where the Gators will need. Some wide receivers will be leaving after next year. So getting a big-time wide receiver to bring into the fold definitely will help when Van Jefferson, Tyree Cleveland, Josh Hammond, all those guys, will more than likely be going to the NFL next year. So Florida loses a bunch, and going to start filling them in with some big-time blue-chip talent as well. So also, let's go back to this past weekend and the big visit weekend that was for the Gators. The biggest news comes from 4-star defensive lineman Charles Moore. when he came out of his official visit and named Florida his leader. A big thing here is hoping that he sticks as he looks to visit LSU and Tennessee coming up. The Gators will have to fend off Auburn as well, but not FSU. Moore eliminated FSU from his list. Hopefully his feeling for the Gators right now isn't mostly based off just coming off the visit. He has a history with Mullen, as he originally committed to Mullen at Mississippi State. He's the 105th ranked player in the country. Really enjoyed his visit at Florida. Florida made a big impression on what they could do with him in the classroom. And the exact quote from Moore was, quote, "The Florida brand is so big, it's kind of like having a degree from Yale or Harvard or something." So, so him being so familiar with the staff and the classroom angle has really impressed Moore to the effect of pushing Florida into the lead. But also this staff is letting him know how versatile of a player he can be along this Todd Grantham and Sunseri defensive line. So there's a lot to sell him. And like I said, it'd be just about getting him to stick with Florida in the lead in the next few weeks. A lot of Auburn smoke out there. He's got some connections there with a friend that plays there, and we'll kind of see where it goes. Recently decommitted from Mississippi State and Florida was his first visit. So biggest name on campus this past weekend, cornerback Kaiir Elam, and definitely the top target left on the board for the Gators in this class. This had some interesting storylines over the weekend. It started by Elam coming in with a large group of his family that included former Gator and his uncle, Matt Elam. His parents made the all-important trip to get one last look at their son's potential destination. And this was a weekend to put everything together for the Gators and show Elam's family, what it means to be a Gator. So also Georgia was trying to start a little something with reports suggesting that Florida cornerback coach Charlton Warren may be up for position at Georgia, and that was definitely a planned move, leak, whatever you want to call it, from the Bulldogs to try and get in Elam's head, his family's head. I don't think his family is all too keen on the coaching movement at Georgia, and it looks good right now for Elam and the Gators. But he doesn't let much out when he speaks, keeps it close to the vest, and this is still worth watching as he's going to visit Georgia this coming up weekend. And they'll try and squash any recruiting momentum that the Gators made this past weekend. So, when I look at Elam, this is one of those perception recruits to me. This is the guy, you have a connection with his uncle Matt Elam. He's a guy who you've thought to be in the lead for a while, and it's time. We went back and talked about it during our early signing day show. You got to keep the big boys in Florida. The big boys in Florida, you got to keep them in Florida and go and be in Gators. And also, this is one of your big rivals. Your rival you're going to play in the East every year. You're going to be going head-to-head with Georgia on the field. And look, this is another chance to keep a big-time player away from Georgia. And at this point, Florida's got a good class going. It can really finish really, really well for 2019. And to me, it starts with Elam for perception and just for on-field purposes. You need guys like this to consistently play with the likes of Alabama and Georgia with the way they're recruiting. And look, it would be off to a great start by keeping guys like Kaiir Elam in the fold, in the state, and becoming Gators. So, sometimes perception's reality. I wouldn't, the class isn't lost or anything's not lost by getting Kaiir Elam. But like I said, this is one of the perception recruits to me. It looks really good. You can get Kaiir Elam in the fold and him not go to Georgia or somewhere else, but specifically Georgia. And to finish out the big targets from this weekend is athlete Mark Anthony Richards, and the staff did well here in showing how he'll be used all over the offense in the playmaker role, similar to Kadarius Toney. He got to sit with the coaches as they proposed to him how he'll be used, wide receiver, running back, return man. He's not naming a leader right now, but Auburn is the team to watch here mostly. They're also pitching a huge role in their offense. But if it's me, and you have to see the writing on the wall that Gus Malzahn's on the hot seat there at Auburn. I'm not saying he won't succeed and keep his job, but Mullen's going to be at Florida for years to come. And it makes the decision easy in that regard. But I'm not an 18-year-old kid making the decision here. So, Miami could also make a push here since, his brother is his connection there. But this really looks to be a Florida-Auburn battle right now. This would be another big-time pull to get the 83rd ranked prospect during this final push to February signing day. Get these three guys, and it's an ideal finish with what's available out there. Go get more. Get Elam. Get Anthony Richards, Mark Anthony Richards, and it is an ideal finish for what's available out there for these Gators to finish with. 2 to 3, still a good finish. Maybe, this will be a Verge top 10 class. You get all three, you're firmly in the top 10, I believe. If you want to look at it that way and use the rankings for if you're part of what you see in this class and what you want to see out of it. But you get the 3, and that is a heck of a finish by Dan Mullen and a way to finish with this class and finish with a bang. Just these few short weeks before February signing day. So also on campus was offensive tackle Ira Henry, and with not many spots available, I just don't see the Gators taking another offensive lineman at this time. Maybe if one of the other targets don't come through, the 3 I just talked about, but that still means you'd be adding him to a class that already has 7 offensive linemen signed. So it is a position that you need a lot of depth, of course, but I think I'd rather save that scholarship for next season if it came down to it. One positive note here, though. If you do decide to take him, then you probably keep him away from Florida State, and that just might be worth it. So if we know the struggles Florida State has along that offensive line, and this is another prospect that's looking good for him or for them if he doesn't choose Florida or Florida decides to move on. I don't know how much the interest is there, but I know he has a lot of interest with Hevesy in that offensive line. But if you get him and you keep him away from Florida State, there's some added value there. So, and the last visitor we'll discuss from this past weekend, defensive end Smith Gilbert. And even going into the visit, I wasn't sure there was enough time to really get in it for him. It was good to see him take this visit, but it looks like Penn State will be tough to beat here. He'll visit Syracuse as well coming up to make his decision. But, I guess it's worth keeping an eye on. A guy who hasn't played a lot of football, just started playing football this past year. A lot of potential there, of course, when you're recruiting a player and getting a player like that. But kind of be hard to pull him from up north, I think. So we'll kind of see where it goes there. But like I said, worth keeping an eye on, but I don't think there's much to look at there. Let's move on to last week, and Jonathan Greenard announced he's coming to Florida. The one we've been kind of on the lookout for, coming to Florida as a grad transfer from Louisville. There's some familiarity as he was recruited to play for the Cardinals by current Florida defensive coordinator Todd Grantham back in 2015. He redshirted that year and played for Grantham the next season in 2016, where in 11 games he recorded 22 total tackles, 7 tackles for loss, and 2.5 sacks. Then came his big season in 2017. Appeared in 13 games, making 5 starts, led the team with 15.5 tackles for loss, tied for the team honors with 7 sacks, finished 32nd nationally in tackles for loss and 47th in sacks. How important were his tackles for loss? Louisville went 8-5 in 2017. 12.5 of his 15.5 tackles for a loss came in the 8 wins that Louisville had that year. Just 3 tackles for loss in their 5 losses that year. So that's how big of a feast or famine it was. If he was making plays, Louisville was winning. If he wasn't making plays, then you kind of saw some things happen where they had some issues. So he'll be available immediately as a redshirt junior for the Gators for 1 season. And since he was injured in 2018, may apply for another year. But I think he may just see how he does this season, because if he puts up numbers anywhere like Ja'Kai Polite did, then I'd assume he'll be gone after just 1 season. And I don't think it can be overstated just how important it is that he's familiar with Grantham's defense and his system. More than likely be able to come in here, plug and play. And look, Polite only had 1 year in the system and took to it right away. So overall, he's a big-time pass rusher with 9.5 career sacks. One of the top pass rushers in the nation in 2017. He's added some bulk to allow him to play with his hand in the ground as well. So you'll be able to see he'll be versatile. He'll be standing up. He'll be hand in the ground. This is the perfect replacement for Ja'Kai Polite leaving early for the NFL. Granard, 6'4", 263 pounds. He's a little bit bigger than Polite, who is 6'2", 242. So with that size, he can play the run a little bit better, sit the edge a little better than Polite if it comes down to it. And if he can, he'll just be that more. He might be even more versatile than Polite. I don't know if he'll make as big of plays, but maybe a little versatile. So he has shown that in some of his highlight videos out there. So hopefully he could consistently do that and do that in switching from the ACC to the SEC play. I don't really buy into the stock that his stats can't translate coming from the ACC. So especially getting in some more seasoning with Sunseri and Grantham out there and Christian Robinson as well. So the loss of Polite and CeCe Jefferson is big. Those two combined for 23.5 tackles for a loss and 12 sacks. So replacing them on this pass rush won't be easy, but we're really comparing him to Polite's production. We're kind of, it is, you want to compare Granard and Polite. So Polite's production of 17.5 tackles for loss and 11 sacks. Of course, the 6 forced fumbles would be nice too, but we asked ourselves so much, who could fill in on that all-important pass rush role in a Grantham-led defense, and Florida was resting on its laurels here. They went out, or they weren't resting on their laurels here. They went out and got somebody. They went out and got a pass rusher. They went out and got a grad transfer that can immediately come in and try to help fill that role that was so important this past season. So maybe there's not too much of a drop-off here. You get to combine Granard with Jabari Zuniga's 6.5 sacks and 11 tackles for loss this past season. And also hopefully we get to see the emergence of Jeremiah Moon and some younger guys, for a group that can be led by Granard and Zuniga. So big-time pickup, great pickup for the Gators. And can't wait to see him when he lines up there. A lot of potential. You go out there and watch his highlight videos. You can see it. A lot of big-time plays, a lot of getting in the backfield. Hey, there's some sacks out there against FSU as well, so he'll be used to that. So that's nice to see as well. So Will Miles was a little busy with some real-life stuff this week, so he was unable to join me on this episode. But I do suggest you guys go read his latest article at readingreaction.com titled Beyond Recruiting, Measuring Coaching Development and Applying That to the Gators' Dan Mullen. So you guys know how much we harp on getting the best players, but that doesn't mean we completely dismiss other aspects of building a team and playing. I've always said development matters, but give me the 4 and 5 stars to develop, and that's how you consistently win. And that's what Will attempts to answer in his latest article. So Will lays out 2 ways to measure development at a college program. And quotes from Will's article read, quote, the first is to look at how well a program identifies talent and then holds on to it. This is because a program may recruit 7 5-star candidates, but often by the time that player would be making an impact on the field, he has transferred or has suffered an injury. And the second way to look at development is to examine how a program performed versus the talent that is brought in. So head over to readingreaction.com, read Will's article there, as there are some positive metrics in Mullen's favor where he grades out really well. So good read, and talking about where Mullen graded out really well, and that was the jump in production, a jump in improvement for the Gators from 2017 to 2018. Some big-time numbers, and thanks for Pick 6 previews out there for providing these stats. And the Gators were the most improved offense from 2017 to 2018 when looking at points per game. Florida jumped 86 spots in the rankings, all the way from 108th to 22nd in the nation in points per game. 86 spots. Big time jump from Dan Mullen with what he was able to do with Felipe Franks, with what he was able to do with bringing in transfer wide receivers, what he was able to do in getting Scarlett and P. Ryan a lot of carries and carrying his team where the running game just got better as the year went on. Felipe Franks got better as the year went on, especially with the production from his legs. So the most improved offense from 2017 to 2018 were our Florida Gators. Huge jump. And really speaks to the testament of what the Gators got in Dan Mullen. Was it pretty all the time? Nope. Was it effective? For the majority of the time it was. And that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted progress, we got progress. We wanted excitement, we got excitement. Another big-time improvement is rushing offense from 2017 to 2018, yards per carry. And the Gators jumped up 46 spots there. So, yard overall, points per game, and then running the ball. We knew that was going to be a staple of this Dan Mullen offense and the talent that he had at Florida, and they jumped up 46 spots from 2017 to 2018 in yards per carry. Hey, look, we moved to the other side of the ball as well. Most improved defense from 2017 to 2018 in points per game. The Gators, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th ranked there in the most improved defense, jumped 49 spots. So, look, we know Florida has been able to rely on some great defenses, but in McElwain's final year, everything just kind of fell apart. Randy Shannon wasn't really a fit for what Florida was trying to do, the type of talent Florida had, kind of too conservative there. And the Gators jump up 49 spots with a more aggressive, playing to the kind of Florida speed that you can get on defense, and jumped up 49 spots in most improved defense and points per game. And then the last one, most improved pass defense. Kind of surprising there. Most improved pass defense from 2017 to 2018 using quarterback rating. And the Gators jumped up 1, 2, 3. They were ranked 5th in this category and jumped up 56 spots as far as quarterback ratings go there. So some big time jumps for the Gators there in production on offense and defense, and especially that last one. We look at Florida as DBU, and there were some growing pains with Wilson and Henderson being in their freshman seasons in 2017, and then Randy Shannon being a defensive coordinator. Just wasn't working out. Big time jump in 2018 there, with really Henderson being the stalwart corner there on one side of the field, locking up one side of the field. So I expect Florida to make another big jump, or actually kind of stay up towards the top in 2019. But there's some 4 good stats there by Pick 6 Previews, and looking at how teams improved in certain metrics there. So in summary, Pick 6 Preview says, to recap 2018 Florida, the number 1 most improved offense, points per game. The number 5 most improved defense in points per game. The number 5 most improved pass defense. Number 9 most improved rush offense in yards per carry. And in passing, just they're throwing out the stats again that we all know so well. 10 touchdowns and 10 interceptions in 2017, improved to 28 touchdowns and 6 interceptions in 2018. So big time improvement from Dan Mullen and the Gators, and hopefully some more numbers when we get around to 2019, and kind of similar production, if not better, there when we play some of the better defenses on the schedule, namely those Georgia Bulldogs. Hopefully we get some better stats against those guys. Close that gap a little bit. But all right, good episode here. Big time, a lot of news, a lot of news out there, a lot of excitement, recruiting going well for the Gators. We'll see how it all finishes out here, 2019, 2020. Never dull when you talk about these Gators, of course. The tagline here for Gators Breakdown. So guys, thanks for listening to this episode. Some good stuff out there, good stuff for our Gators. I'm David Waters, the host of Gators Breakdown. You can find me on Twitter at GatorDave_SEC. Guys and girls out there, thanks for listening to this episode of Gators Breakdown.